I've got with me Kakashi. Kakashi, good evening. How are you?
Always a pleasure.
Who's actually live here? Kakashi. There's a new UEFA Champions League format.
Yeah.
A lot of persons out there say it is a copy and paste of the supposed Super League. You know, the Real Madrid president, of course, actually wanted a Super League. He actually brought his format, and so many clubs came and kicked against it. Major reason was because, you know, he singled a couple of clubs he wanted to take part in the competition. You know, rolling out some new faces. Like in the current Champions League, we have teams like Bologna, Girona, Sparta Prague. If it was the Super League, we would not be seeing these teams. What do you think of the new Champions League formats to start with?
Always a pleasure being here. First of all, I'll say the new Champions League format, to me, is a good addition because now we viewers at the end of the day have more matches to watch. Talking about the Super League format, yeah, back in the days, I don't say clubs didn't really, the top clubs were actually trying to vow toward our initiative, almost the top 8 clubs, but bit by bit they started pulling out because there were sanctions brought from FIFA. Some of their players will not play the World Cup, will not play, so they had to pull out from such a league. So now people saying it looks like a Super League, I would say I doubt because the format is totally different. Now we still have smaller teams like Atlanta, Salzburg, still playing the Champions League. So it's not more Super 8, it's still carrying everybody along. So now it used to be 32 teams in the Champions League put across 8 groups. That's everybody's playing home and away. You know, 2 teams qualify and that's the format. Now we have 36 teams. How is it going to be done? It's a different format entirely. Now it's like a league. We have the 36 teams in one league. The top 8 teams automatically. Then the next teams, 16 teams, because it's 9 to 24. The next 16 teams play home and away to bring out 8 teams that are going to join the first 8 in the round of 16. From there, the format continues. The other teams move. So I think it's a good format because it gives other lower teams chances to actually also qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. Back in the days, if you have a group of 2 top teams and 2 middle, we always know that the top teams are going to qualify for the next stage.
Definitely.
But nowadays, it's going to be different. There's a different format that's going to give the smaller teams an opportunity to qualify for the knockout stages.
The most exciting thing about the new Champions League format is the fact that we have so many big games in the group phases, a lot of big games in the group phases. You see Manchester City playing against PSG, Arsenal playing against PSG, Bayern Munich playing against, you know, really tough games. Manchester City playing against Inter Milan, Bayern Munich playing against Real Madrid. So many exciting games coming to this. I mean, it's going to be an exciting one. But you look at this format and you look at a lot of players coming out to complain that they've been playing one too many games. It's affecting their health. Back in the day, the Champions League rounds up a couple of weeks before Christmas. Yeah. This time, the final Champions League group game is going to be on 22nd of January. The final game, all 18 games will be played simultaneously at the same time. But you look at all of that and you think the players coming out to say they needed so much rest. You look at the window, there been so many, you know, new ideas brought to football, like the Nations League and so many other glorified friendlies, as people out there would call it. Don't you think it is going to be telling on players?
Yeah, it should. First of all, to buttress your first point about having top games in the group stage, I can tell you that for every week, we have a former Champions League final match for every week. For every week. Yes. The first week, I think we have Manchester City, Inter Milan. They played it 2 years ago in the final. We have Real Madrid, Dortmund.
We have a PSG Bayern.
We have a PSG Bayern. We have teams that play in the final. We now get to watch them every game week
of the Champions League.
Before, you have to wait till the knockout stages, have to wait for the top game. People don't really concentrate on the group stages because they feel the teams are small. Now, every week you have to be there because you have a repeat of the Champions League final that has happened in the past. So you have that buttresses your point of having top matches every week. Now, to the point of the players, yeah, of course, they are human beings. You know, they are not machines. But as much as they are being paid to do this, yeah, the more matches you play, the more exciting it is for the fans. And the more incentives also. Yeah, as we said, we have rest days, now if you find out that during the transfer, there were a lot of transfers this season. Teams are having players up to 45, 36, 24, just to keep up with the pace of the game and the number of games that are being played. People have been complaining that Chelsea has so many players, but there's a reason for that. They are in Europe also, they are playing the Champions, they are playing the FA Cup, they are playing the Carling Cup. They have to try their best to manage the player time because it's always hard on the players. As much as they are sportsmen and we expect the best from them, they are human beings. They have families, they have a life after football. So yeah, they're being paid for it, but at the same time, we have to know they are not machines. They have to rest. The format is not bad, but it gives now opportunity for teams and coaches to use other players to perform in these top tournaments.
All right, he said, yeah, in as much as they get paid, these guys are not machines, and they, you know, a bigger squad means a more comfortable football season for you. Anyways, we are going to look and talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, who was honored with, a Champions League honorary award. Cristiano Ronaldo actually has 140 goals in 186 matches in the Champions League. He had 13 consecutive games in the Champions League scoring. He spent 7 different seasons as top scorer of the Champions League. This guy has the most assists in the Champions League history. I mean, what do you make of that? Cristiano Ronaldo, greatest player in the Champions League history. What do you make of it?
Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo, anytime you hear his name, you know he comes as an accolade. Yeah, he's the Champions League legend. All the records he broke, all the goals he scored. Cristiano Ronaldo was the first player in the Champions League match. The opposing team had to stand up to give a clap. It was Juventus against Juventus. The next thing they ended up going there. So he's a player that you can never say too much about him when it comes to the Champions League. His records are there, plastered in gold. Now we expect people to come that are upcoming to break some records, but you see, look at this guy like a god. He's gone so far. Goals, assists, Champions appearances, Champions League winners medal. It's crazy. So he then honored him. I think they did the best. He's the Champions League legend, and they should actually put a statue of him on the Champions League.
He's a Champions League legend, and they should put a statue of him on the Champions League. All right.